compilation of a bunch of the little things that they changed in the new 2024 Player's Handbook. There's a bunch of breakdowns out there of the classes and things like that, but these are like the little tiny quality of life things. We all know it's not the size of the thing that matters, but it's how you use it. There is now a collective term for attack rolls, saving throws, and ability checks, which is just called a D20 test, which is just a little thing that makes it a lot easier to say attack rolls, saving throws, and ability checks, so you don't have to be so wordy about it. We can throw it all under one umbrella by saying you have advantage or disadvantage or whatever on your next D20 test. Knocking out a creature is a little bit different. In the old version of the game, you would knock a creature out by reducing it to 0 hit points and giving it the unconscious condition. In the new version, you still make it unconscious, but it goes up to 1 hit point. Then it regains consciousness at the end of a short rest, so you have to keep an eye on your prisoners now. The new Player's Handbook also has a couple more suggestions on how you handle creature death. Like, usually you just kill something and it dies, but the new handbook actually has a section that says, hey, your DM can decide to treat it like a character death and do saving throws and stuff instead, which some of us have been doing anyway. I always do that for BBEGs, and I recommend everyone does it for BBEGs, but this way it's just a little bit more explicit that that's an option. The book also gives new players a lot of helpful roleplay descriptions based on their traits, so if you create a character that has high strength, for example, it gives you a list of words that you can use to describe that character. Like, you know, you can say sinewy, like muscly, protective, direct, stuff like that. Same with if you have low strength, it says that you can describe your character as weak or slight or self-conscious or indirect, things like that that can kind of seed roleplay. The monk subclasses are renamed, so they're no longer way of something, it's now warrior of something. So instead of being a way of mercy monk, you'll be a warrior of mercy monk. This is something that someone in my stream chat pointed out to me, but legend lore has been changed a little bit. When you cast a spell, you name a famous person, place, or thing, and then you receive more information on it than you already knew. But if the thing that you chose isn't actually famous and you just think it is, then instead of the spell working, you just hear a sad series of musical notes played on a trombone, and then the spell fails. Eating, drinking, and breathing are 3 very necessary actions for staying alive for most creatures. And in the new book, if you don't do one of those 3 things, you start to gain levels of exhaustion. But that means that for creatures like constructs who don't need to eat or breathe or drink, you can just say in their stat block that they're immune to exhaustion in order to convey that, which is just a lot less wordy. Druids, my favorite class, can now wild shape into creatures that have a swim speed right off the bat. There used to be a thing where you had to be a certain level in order to do it, but now you can just do it straight from level 2. There's now a page that summarizes every single class and then every single subclass with a brief sentence that states the vibe of that character. So it says how an Oath of Devotion Paladin works off of justice, you know, an Oath of the Ancients preserves life, things like that. So a new player can basically look at this 1-page cheat sheet and then just pick whatever sounds fun to start with. Similarly to that, the character sheet has been completely overhauled and actually has numbered sections now so that a new player can go through, match up the section in the book to the part of the character sheet that they're supposed to fill out for that step of character creation, and it just makes it a lot easier. At least when you're starting out and learning. However, people have pointed out that the new book doesn't actually have any, like, tear-away character sheets in the back that you can photocopy. Like, the book just has the index in the back and then it ends, so I assume that's a push towards more of a digital vibe. The core book also has 2 additional species that you can play right off the bat, including the Aarakocra and the Goliath. There is also a section here that says if you're a spellcaster, you should know what the fuck your spells do before you try and cast them. I just love that as a DM, honestly.